Well, you've certainly provided a lot of information and answered, I think, a lot of our questions, and I appreciate that, sir. So I think we're not going to have the public hearing. I think that's the general feeling for the board. So the public will have the opportunity at the beginning of the meeting, if they want to talk about it, certainly can do so. But we're going to, we will need more information between now and the next meeting. So at this time, anybody have any other questions? No. So we're going to make a motion that we table item number 13. Second.
Second.
Second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
I don't need these back, so if anybody wants them, keep them. If you don't want them, I'll find the appropriate. That's it. Don't need them. If you want them, I'll give you the fancy ones back. All right.
Do you have the
I have one without plastic covering. What's that about, Scott?
Plastic covering.
I'm just
We
kidding.
ran out of the mat paper. You want a glossy? Here you go.
This is good. It's the same, right?
Same image.
Just for you.
I guess we could take extras.
really need this.
It's gotta be mine. Wants a copy of one. Yeah, if Scott's willing to give him one. Otherwise, foil it.
Very funny. It's going to be like 35.
The resolution.
No, for Mary's admin. I thought I did.
I think you signed it.
Did one not circulate? Is that
Did
it?
you check from state?
I
I ended up
guess.
signing stuff.
He's
You're
got
right.
one, he signed it.
You didn't sign it.
All right. Item number 14. 8-14 North Front Street. Site plan amendment to install a handicap ramp and stair entrance in the public right-of-way. Section lot is 48.331-3-2. Secret determination, zone C2, Stockade Historic District, Heritage Area Commission. And it's Ward 2, Front Fair LLC is the applicant owner.
Good evening.
Hi there. Can you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Rob Dupont. I'm the architect of the project. This project has been before the board before, site plan approval for use in the ground floor as an event space. Work has been permitted and is underway, and we're in the process of fine-tuning some of the code requirements. What we've come to the determination is a change in the design from previous application with regards to one of the means of egress out of the building. We need to provide a handicapped means of egress, and the original design that was done by my predecessor turned out to not really be feasible. So we're proposing something new at the main entrance to the building that is code compliant and also conducive to, we think, the fabric of the historic quality of the neighborhood. Pictures that are going around show the front of the building where the ramp is going to be located. We have about a 10-inch vertical rise that we need to mitigate, so the ramp is relatively compact, combining with a landing and a stair. And what we've done is, the second picture that's in the set that's going around actually shows their, this building is basically bookended on each side by the Senate House property. That property is open green space, and it's surrounded by a metal fence, about 3 feet high. We've mimicked the style of that fence and incorporated it into our ramp design. I'm sure you've seen a lot of ramps in your day. They look pretty contemporary. We didn't want to look like that in the front of the building, especially since it's the main entrance. So we've mimicked that style, and we think it fits in nicely with both the existing building and the intent of what the plan is for uptown.
Do we have any renderings together?
I have some.
You're the new architect. The fourth was, right? The third.
You too tight.
It shows the front of the building. This is the existing main entrance door. This is an indication of the ramp. That's the fence that's existing on the other side. What we're doing is we're creating a masonry ramp, capping it with bluestone. This is basically a steel panel
How much is sidewalk? This is the ramp here?
It is. The sidewalk tapers from the building and the site plan as well. This distance is about 9 feet. The ramp is a little bit more than 5 feet wide. I had a meeting early on with the planner and Tyler, and as long as we provide at least a minimum 3 foot for getting around it, separate from the right of way, we end up with about 4.5 feet of the narrowest part of the design.
The fence you're going to mimic is right here. Is that going to follow along the ramp coming up here?
It is. It addresses the entire length. The entire length of the new assembly is 20 feet long.
You can see it right here, Wayne, on this map.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's in your drawings as well.
Oh, here
I colored
I
it.
got you.
And this one, this doesn't impact any underground utilities?
No.
So it'll come up from the Fair Street
The
side.
Fair Street side, correct.
Then where it continues past, it'll have a step down.
That's right. A legal step by code is 7 inches, and there's a 10-inch rise now. So we'll end up with 2 5-inch risers, and then a 112 ramp heading towards Fair Street because it's already dropped curbs over there for anybody who doesn't.
Yes, landmarks and heritage, he's already aware of.
And do you have applications into those folks as well now?
Everything is filled out. I have to drop off the one to the mayor's office and then landmarks. I was told I had plenty of time on that one, but everything's ready to go.
Now, that whole sidewalk is concrete. You said you're going to do bluestone up the ramp, or is it a concrete ramp?
No, well, the substructure is all concrete. We're doing a monolithic concrete pour, frost protected. We're capping it with bluestone on top.
What's on the face side?
This is going to be dressed with a steel C-channel. It's painted. It's going to dress all the masonry. It fits in with the style of the building inside. It's the same color as a lot of the detailing on the outside. If you look at the existing pictures. But what's nice about that design is it creates, it's more of a traditional look in that it's a level design rather than a sloping design, which screams handless ramp.
How much distance is left? Sidewalks width, it's really
4.5 feet at the narrow side.
4.5 feet from the fence to the curb.
Correct.
The third photo that you provided in the other packet, is that this door or another door?
No, that's a door that's in the back. The reason I included that picture is because previously when the applicant came before the board, there was lighting that was proposed on the outside of the building, and the lighting was not approved at a previous meeting. I was asked to include it on this site plan. So that's what that picture showed. It shows the lighting that was installed. It's a traditional style light downlight.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the other things that they're aware of already is that their insurance coverage, the city code requires because it's actually in the public right-of-way. So there's a certain dollar amount that's called for. And then obviously sidewalk permit from DPW and relocation of one of the tree pits because he's going to have to remove one to be able to fit this.
Correct.
And they're supposed to replant those 2 trees that were cut down, so relocating the tree pit. And then heritage and landmarks.
I mean, is that that's not functioning, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, the bathroom is right behind that panel.
So, okay.
The building's quite old, 1921, so it's already gone through a series of renovations, but that feature's been like that for a while.
I don't have any issue.
Chuck, good. West. Okay, thank you. Under seeker, this is a type 2 action. Therefore, predetermined by New York to have no environmental impact, no further review of the board is required. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 14, board policy 6, approval approvals from Heritage Area Commission and Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission. Also secure a sidewalk permit from the DPW, a relocation of the tree pit, and replanting of 2 street trees, and also providing proof of insurance coverage as per city code. That's a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Chuck Malaco. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Before I forget, who was second? Okay. I have a pretty big pile though in here. I don't even know what's.
We have copied this already, or did we?
I'll take them.
We got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I got French beans.
Yeah.
And
It's a paper you have to sign.
This is a
I'm familiar with it. Oh, I signed it.
and another
Way off.
Where do you think you're going to find
It might be.
are you Central Hudson folks over there? Okay. We're in the discussion.
They're patiently waiting.
Okay. In the discussion phase of the meeting here, item number 15 is 298-332 rear East Strand. Proposed changes to the Central Hudson facility. Section block and lot is 56.36-1-18, zone RF-R, Ward 8. Central Hudson Corporation is the applicant owner.
Good evening.
Hello there.
I'm Mark McLean, Senior Project Manager for Central Hudson. This is Jesse Gallo. He's a project manager. Engineer. And then we also have with us John Masurgeon, our Director of Media Relations with us. So really what we plan to do tonight, we don't have anything as far as some type of construction application or anything like that. It's really to inform and educate the board.
Okay.
So a little bit of history.
We used to have a gas plant there.
We used to, and that's exactly what it looked like.
My grandfather made the gas,
Made the gas.
played stalker, I don't know. But he,
I keep forgetting that he's your,
yeah,
wow, that's
not
great.
my uncle was a fireman.
Yeah.
My grandfather.
Yeah.
I used to bring his lunch and sit down in that shack, or that the shack you know.
That was just a little while ago. And, for those that aren't familiar with manufactured gas, prior to the distribution of natural gas, as you have it today, they used to manufacture gas from heating coal. So this particular plant was one of 8 that Central Hudson, its predecessor companies had. Normally they were located along waterways, such as Ronda Creek and the Hudson River. And again, it goes back almost 175 years. So back in 1850, that's not when this plant went into production, but we had plants that did. They operated for almost 100 years. So a lot of the lighting, such as this place, was probably initially gas-fed, manufactured gas. So that was pumped through the city, gas needs at that point in time, generally used for lighting and then heating and cooking. So in the advent of natural gas, that's when these facilities became kind of defunct as far as the technology. Actually, we have a kind of a gas schematics of the process, which is kind of cool.
When I went down there, they weren't using the coal. It was just that big brown thing they had.
Horton sphere? Or
I don't know. No, this was, you took it down, not
Yeah,
too
gas
many
holder.
years.
Yeah. A lot of times what happens, those gas holders were mechanical. So if you can think of a giant bellow, so they would, as they would make gas, that would fill that bellow, that mechanical bellow, and then the gravity would actually push the gas through the system. So that was kind of a manufacturing process at the time. Then they shifted from actually using coal later on to a blend of coal and oil.
That was some operation.
There's a street there, Washington Street,
So that's not what it looks like today. Has gone through lots of changes. We have an aerial of the site. That's the aerial.
Yep, so the red demarks the actual property boundaries that Central Hudson occupies currently. There is a gas regulator station on the property. There's 2 8-inch pipes that cross the rundown and surface on the site itself and then are distributed to the city of Kingston from there. And that's on the eastern portion of the site. You can see some of the above grade facilities there.
So the plan is, at this juncture, is to, part of the remnants of this process, I mean, it was not a very efficient process in making gas. So a lot of the byproduct material, which is coal tar, not too unlike driveway sealer, that's really what it kind of looks like.
It smells like.
And it smells like, is actually found, below grade, sometimes down to 20, 30 feet, in the upland, what we call it the upland portion of the site, and actually has migrated into the Rondout Creek. So part of what we are here tonight to talk about is our plans to clean it up. So we do have plans right now that has been conceptually approved through the New York State DEC.
As part of the Brownfield Corridor program.
Yes.
So this shows the upland portion of the property, basically what that aerial shows with the red outline on it. And then it shows the exclusion area, which is the active gas infrastructure that's going to be maintained throughout this project.
You're cleaning up this area.
Correct. Everything you see shaded in gray, and there's 2 different shades. There's a dark gray and a light gray. Light gray is a shallow excavation, generally between 2 and 4 feet. Just going to be removal of that material and then backfilling.
Yeah, the biggest part of when we say clean up in this application, I mean, just as Jesse referred, we're basically going to take off the top 4 feet of material to the extent that it's clean, that's going to be reused on the site. From 4 feet to
26 to 28 feet.
we're basically going to mix in concrete and turn that into what they call an in situ stabilization or solidification. So it's a concrete model. It's a giant concrete block.
And it'll just remain fenced in and never used for anything or what?
Well, not necessarily. That's the interesting aspect of this. I mean, the remediation that we're proposing to do here basically sequesters that material in place, so there's no more migration away from there. But it doesn't preclude necessarily, developing or doing something different on that, including utility.
So if you're taking all the material out, are you building like a wall around it? Or
We're not removing anything. Top 4 feet, we're just going to strip back.
strip back?
Then we're basically going to blend in concrete into the soil
So it can't migrate up.
or out
Or out.
any
It's
place.
going to be a solid concrete block underneath the ground.
So that you do it also on the sides around.
Yeah.
This is solid. I mean, this one solid model. So if you can imagine a poured concrete floor, just 20 feet thick.
Right.
So you're taking out all the material 20 feet down.
No.
No, the material stays in place.
So you're mixing it
Mixing
with
it.
Correct.
concrete.
And then you're injecting grout material. In this case, we're going to use an excavator bucket and dig it and mixing that grout material in there and then it solidifies it.
What about the high water table there too?
We did what they called hydraulic kind of modeling around that just for that reason, to see what types of changes may happen. Once you put something solid like that in place, what it does as far as the direction of current direction of groundwater flow before that, and then model it after that's in place. The modeling that we did, I mean, didn't show
Any great deal of change.
no. I mean, there's not a lot of even studying it. I mean, although that's a flood-prone area, as you know, there really isn't a lot of exchange of water back and forth, subsurface water.
Yeah.
I mean, it pretty much kind of hangs in that area, and that's probably why it's so prone to flooding.
And how far do the pipes go down there?
The gas pipeline, in the upland portion, probably
2 foot?
2 to
2
4
to 3
feet.
feet.
Yeah. That there's also a creek crossing associated with the gas.
Okay.
Yeah. So this basically is, I mean, the gas infrastructure is over here. and it goes across the creek. They call it the Slotesburg.
Slatesburg.
Yeah, crossing. So
Any plan to, while you pull back the material, to replace piping now while you got it exposed, or is everything ready, is good?
yeah, I mean, there's no current plans to do any upgrading because we did ask that question, opportune time. I mean, because we're going to be on that site doing lots of stuff. I mean, the timetable, just for your knowledge, is probably 18 to 24 months once we start. We could be on that site, you know, because part of this is driving in sheet piles to replace that bulkhead wall that's gone.
It'll be 18 to 24 months from start to finish up the project?
Mhm.
Okay.
Somewhere in that.
You're putting a new bulkhead.
Oh, yeah, yep.
So from 4 feet down will be loose material, and then there'll be a large concrete block underneath that, right? So then for future development, what if something were to be constructed there, how do you go, if you only have 4 feet soil to work with?
Well, that
You have to go
basically,
into
that
that.
4 feet provides, you know, if you're not doing a whole lot of substantial construction, that's what we would refer to as a utility type corridor. So you wouldn't get into that solidified mass. If you were, and you needed to go deeper or drive piles or do something, you know, more substantial. Because the concrete that we're putting in place isn't really, I mean, it's about 100 PSI.
It's not a structural concrete.
So it's a soft concrete, relatively speaking. So in the event that somebody wanted to, for example, let's say Central Hudson wanted to go back there, put a structure on that place, and we had to excavate or bore. The material that we would remove, Central Hudson, or whether it be ourselves or some other owner, we would be responsible for taking care of the proper disposal of that material. Because what comes with this, once we're done, is what they call a site management plan. So that after you're done cleaning up. So it tells other property owners, current property owner, and those in perpetuity, as I say, look, there was cleanup done here. This is what was done. When you get to this level, then you need to contact the DEC. There, you have to come up with a plan that says this is how we're going to manage materials. However, we're going to do, you know, if we're excavating or drilling it or whatever. We need to have a plan, or the DEC wants a plan to say this is how you're going to manage it, so that it gets properly taken care of. So.
Now, does this tie in with the other end of North Street where they just were doing a lot of work down there? Because there's high power gas lines, I guess, that comes from the other side of the river over through the other part.
Yeah, there was some gas replacement work.
Well, no, this is,
Or is it
you go
further?
down towards where the brickyard was. I don't know if you're familiar with that area at all.
Not really, no.
Well, Central Hudson just came in and they did a lot of work. And there's a high power line that comes from Dutchess County over.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we have oils, what they call them, oil static cables. I mean, electric cables that come across from the other side.
Yeah, well, no, there's gas.
This is the high pressure gas here.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not familiar with gas coming from the other side, but I'm not a gas engineer.
And that would be unrelated from this project.
Right, not really.
guess they just, right next to the hole. That's what I guess.
Have fenced in place.
So are these two sites, I know they're not Central Hudson, but are these brownfields?
Yes.
They smell like it.
No.
They're actually.
Actually, Millens, this is the former
Consent
Millens.
Right,
Yeah.
I walk there every day, so
Yep.
this is brown, right?
No, this is,
Consent.
yeah.
That's been remediated.
Well, they have a proposed remediation plan out there. Again, I'm not,
Has not been remediated yet, so okay, we did that.
no.
They have an
this-
interim remediation.
So how does that affect this? I mean, you go ahead and do this, and then this is still dirty, and then how does this one stay clean?
That's where we came up, because it was one of the questions, quite honestly, we asked. It's like, we go ahead and I mean, optimally, DEC likes you to do complete removal. Sounds great, but to your point, it's like we have no control over what happens here. Direction groundwater flows that way. So in thinking about remediation, that's where the block. It's like, okay, well, we have to create basically an impenetrable type mass to, if there's continued contamination here, I don't know whether that, I can't speak for them, but what that basically does is make sure that this area is now basically stabilized. So there's no further, we're not as concerned, you know, with contamination from here now recontaminating this location. Is that what?
So can I ask a selfish question?
Sure.
When you do your work here, are you gonna block my rail trail?